Good morning. All right, today is the day that we're getting back into this project. I didn't think there'd ever be a part 2, but there is a part 2. So I'm gonna skip all the schematics. If you didn't watch part 1, I didn't even put it as part 1, but if you didn't watch it, the gear would not fit into the bearing in the case when we put all the gears together. But we have a solution to that today. Right here, and I'll show you the problem real quick. So here is the primary 15 tooth gear right here. That's stock, and the problem that we had was this performance gear, the 17 tooth, it would not fit into this bearing right here like it does now. So the stock gear, this secondary gear would not fit into the case that is in this bike right now. It would not do this. But here is a stock 15 tooth gear, and look at this. It does not fit into this case here. So one of these cases will fit this gear right here. So that's the whole plan today. Let's just get right into the problem area and get started, man.
All right, so without these bees tearing me up, so I'm just trying to figure out what the problem is, like what the exact issue is. So I'm going through the steps, the step-by-step process. So the gears assemble both in this case and this case. The shaft is not the issue. The shaft fits every bearing just fine. There's one, there's two. The shaft fits, okay? And when you take out that little spacer, everything builds up just fine. The gears are able to be built in the transmission just fine, both with and without the spacer at the end. Without the spacer gives it the clearance, but it still gets stuck. There's still that gap in between there. So I looked at this, and when I put this into here, this is the 17 tooth drive. This is the performance gear right here. All right, so you put it in there, okay? Now, look. You see where that spins up to? You see where this is meeting up with this bearing? Okay. I want to get it just right for you guys. All right, see how close that is? Now, if we put in the stock gear, okay, look how much more room there is. See that gap right there in between the inside of that bearing and this? We're going to do it one more time. See how this just kind of brushes right up with it? So this one is 17 teeth. This one's 15 teeth. But this one is 52 tooth. This one, I counted it, even though it doesn't say, it has a number 8 on there, is a 53 tooth, okay? I can't think of any other thing that could be the problem, okay? Because all the secondary gears, they fit up fine. Everything fits up fine. I even have an example of another 15 tooth freaking shaft right here. And that's the only problem I can think of.
I'm not too sure else. So I'm gonna call the dude at Scooter Shop right now and see what his opinion is. But I think that's the problem. And the big issue with that is if I decide that this is the problem and I go this route, then I have to rip apart this bike like this, keep it ripped apart so that I can get this 17 tooth freaking gear repressed into this gear right here. That's the only other move I can think of doing, is getting this pressed out and pressed into this again, even though I already had this pressed before. Because this is one tooth of difference, and I believe that is causing it to snag. So it's not going to fit right now as is. I went through every single step, every single motion. It is not the bearing like I thought it was before. It is not the knob or the shaft size and circumference like I thought before. I've came down to the tooth size of these gears right here. Pretty sure that this one tooth of difference is not allowing it to clear into here. Either way, if you build it in the transmission first and then slide the case on, it still does it. If you build it in the case first and then slide onto the transmission, it still doesn't clear. And I've tried it in both this case and that case. I've tried it with and without this little plastic bearing here. I've measured everything. There is a size difference actually between the length of this shaft here and the stock one, but this one's smaller. So the only thing I think of is this. So what I'm gonna have to do is get this 17 tooth wherever the frick it's at. I have to get this 17 tooth gear right here pressed into this 52 tooth freaking drive gear. But I don't even think that these match up, because if I were to do that, okay, if I were to press this 17 tooth into this 52 tooth, this still matches up with this. Okay, but this go with this. I don't think it does. I don't know. All right, so I'm just gonna skip all the bullshit. He has a press here. We press that 17 tooth gear into the gear that needs to be pressed into. It fits. It fucking fits. My iPhone is running out of storage, but to skip everything we just said, it fits because we pressed it into the right one. So look at that. Bam, son. All right, let's get it. All right, so she's all together. Everything's in place. The oil is in there. Everything is bolted up. Everything's ready to go. This is the first startup with the gears in the gearbox right now. Oh, here we go. It starts. You know what's next. We're ripping this thing. All right, so we're out here on the street. Everything is together. Let's go rip this thing. I can't record while I hit top speed because that's how I measure my speedometer, but dude. It runs. It runs. Success. Oh my God, dude. When I first pulled that, I was worried because the first numbers weren't that high. It only hit 47. But you gotta let it stretch out. So I found a road where I could give it room to stretch out. 54.4 miles per hour. I'll drop that picture of the GPS on here. Whew. It doesn't even feel like it. It doesn't feel like you're going that fast. Kind of. So when I was doing that, looking back on it, the street that I was going down, it was slightly downhill and the wind was pressing against my back. Because after I made that run, after I made that pull, before work, I was going and pulling up and down this street right here. And I was consistently hitting 47, 47, 47. And I hit it like 4 or 5 times up and down here. So that tells me that the gears are capable of 55 miles per hour because it went 54. But I also had a little bit of wind and a little bit of tiny bit of hill pushing me down. So it's kind of like cheating. But I'm still pumped. Anyways, just had to drop that. Sure as shit, 54. So all that, this whole summer, I did so much time, so much effort, money, months of work to gear my bike, and it works. It freaking works, man. And the acceleration isn't that much of a loss. Like, I don't notice a big difference. The only difference I notice is in the top end when it's starting to pull and you gotta let it eat. You gotta let it eat. You gotta full throttle it all the way up. But 54 miles an hour. I got myself a bike now. That's how I feel. So thank you for this journey. This editing process is gonna be a little choppy, but I'll get it all figured out. Thank you so much for watching. I'm so happy. We're not done. There's still more to be done, but we did it. Nice.